A little background I can tell you all. This time yesterday, we saw the House up all night. It was day 2 of that. The House up all night as well as Republicans are charging ahead of their multi-trillion-dollar tax breaks package, with Speaker Mike Johnson defying the skeptics within his ranks and working to muscle President Donald Trump's priority bill to passage on this Thursday. You did hear those remarks right here on Live Now from Fox, as Johnson and his GOP leadership team appeared confident after a lengthy White House meeting with GOP holdouts to salvage the big, beautiful bill, even as more Republicans announced their opposition. Shortly before midnight, they launched debate to set the stage for this early morning vote. You can see the time is now out on the vote, but they are still getting final tallies underway.
On this
we see
vote,
Speaker Johnson there now. Let's listen in.
The nays are 214, with one answering present. The bill is passed.
USA. We are on the cusp of getting suppressors out of the NFA. Welcome to another installment of Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. If you like channel, like content, and what I do here, you can support me with the link. Everything is appreciated. Once again, online store is open. CGB20 will get you 20% off, free shipping. Connecticut residents, you have to pay the sales tax. I have no say in that matter. But let's talk about this. And it's huge. This is May 22nd. This is coming through. I've talked about this a lot. Removing suppressors from the NFA under the National Firearms Act of 1934 is on the edge of being approved. Still has to go through the Senate, but this is huge news. They voted today, 215 to 214. This left the House. It squeaked through in the truest sense of the word, and this is huge news. Now, for those of you who know, and for those of you who don't know, when you go to buy a suppressor, you have to submit a $200 tax stamp fee. Then you have to wait 3 to 6 months, and in some cases longer, depending on how many applications they were getting, which sometimes I've seen stretches of 9 months to a year, and that's insane. Then the government says you're okay, takes your money, and says you can now have the item. That's all gone. You would basically buy a suppressor as you would any firearm under the Gun Control Act. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. Now, there was another act that was presented that they wanted to go through. It's called the SHORT Act. It's Stop Harassing Owners of Rifles Today Act. And it remove short barrel firearms from the NFA also. That was not part of the reconciliation in the House. As this bill goes to the Senate could amend it and put it in, but there's no guarantee that will happen. Even though they say there's a willingness to actually do so, there is no evidence that, yes, this is going to happen. It could happen, which, once again, I would be fully in favor of. A short barreled AR-15 is no different than a 16-inch AR-15, so what's the problem? But I want to dig a little deeper into this and give some background because, like I said, we're on the cusp of this becoming law. Okay, now I want to jump right in, and this was put together, they called it the Hearing Protection Act. Like I said, I've spoken about this a lot. It was put together right before the Vegas shooting, and the Vegas shooting was the reason why it was just basically tabled and never spoken of again. But since the complete flip of the power of the House and the presidency in November 2024, now it seems like this is coming back to resurrection and it's moving its way through. But I'm going to come right down to here. The Hearing Protection Act would remove suppressors from the National Firearms Act of 1934 under NFA regulations. We already know what we got to do. It's absolute nonsense. And if you know about the history of the NFA, you would understand it was just a taxing system for the government to rake in money because prohibition had ended. And they couldn't do it to alcohol, so they decided to just tax firearms. Because remember, the $200 tax stamp has never changed. It's the same it was when it was invented till now. It's the same price. But As I said prior, the Short Act was not part of the House bill, but it could be brought back in at the Senate level. We'll see how that happens. Now, a Republican, David Kustoff out of Tennessee, he tried to claim that it violated the Senate's Byrd Rule, which only tax-related items could be resolved in the reconciliation process. But the Senate said, we don't think the Byrd rules apply. Because the House does not have a Byrd rule. The Senate does. Many in the Senate believe that removing suppressors from the NFA does not violate the Byrd rule. Remember, the Senate has the Byrd rule. They said it doesn't violate it, so the House kind of just went along with that. Now, this was a lengthy fight because when this was in the House Ways and Means Committee, there was a compromise of no tax stamp whatsoever, no fee, and everything remained in NFA, and gun owners slapped that down, which led us to this, where the suppressors being removed 100% from the NFA. So this was a grassroots movement to prevent them from basically keeping us under the government's thumb in order to own suppressors, where we still had to apply to get our items. So this is kind of a long road because this was in the committee for quite some time. But the bill we have now that the House voted on was a complete reversal of what it was the Ways and Means Committee. Let's go ahead and come out of that. Now, in the Senate, we once again, just by a narrow margin, have the votes to pass this thing, potentially with the Short Act in it. And if it passes, Trump will sign it. He's made it quite clear. I'm going to sign off on my bill, my big, beautiful bill, he calls it. And this is part of that. And this would be monumental. Just as they claim the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act was the biggest piece of gun legislation in decades, this right here, removal of suppressors and even potentially short-barreled rifles and shotguns from the NFA would be a massive step for gun owners and their rights in this country in probably in good 50, 60 years. This would be monumental. So we're going to watch this as it goes to the Senate. Let's see what the Senate does. Is the Senate going to put the Short Act back in? Don't know. But it'd be nice if they did. I would have no issue with it. But anything could happen. Remember, we only have a slim majority in the Senate. There's a good chance it'll pass. Just don't know. I'm not going to speculate. So we will see what will happen. But this is monstrous news for us. Let's see what happens going forward. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.